What happens when your biggest dream becomes someone else's target? In the bustling Pearl District of Portland, Oregon, Emma Larson, a rising star at Greenwave Innovations, pours her heart into a campaign to revolutionize urban farming. Her sleek office at 1120 NW Couch St. hums with creativity until a critical project file vanishes hours before a major pitch. Emma's gut twists with dread as whispers point to Olivia, a colleague with a sharp smile and sharper ambitions. Was it sabotage, or just a cruel mistake? In a frantic tug-of-war over the recovered file, Emma's trust in her team frays, and her fear of failure looms large. Can she uncover the truth before her career crumbles? The city's vibrant streets hide secrets, and Emma's fight is just beginning. Subscribe now to dive into this thrilling Portland drama and uncover the edge of ambition. The March sun hung low over Zilker Park, bathing the South by Southwest Festival in a golden glow that danced across food trucks, pop-up stages, and tech tents. At 2501 Barton Springs Road, Austin's heart pulsed with creativity coders swapping ideas over tacos, musicians strumming chords, and dreamers like Kaylin Voss chasing their shot at greatness. Kaylin, a 28-year-old tech enthusiast with a restless spark in her hazel eyes, stood at the edge of a startup showcase tent, her palms sweaty as she clutched a crumpled note card. Her idea, the Beacon Projectin app to connect local volunteers with struggling small businesses, felt like a fragile seed in her hands, ready to bloom or wither under the crowd's scrutiny. Kaylin adjusted her denim jacket. Her dark hair pulled into a loose bun and stepped onto the small stage. The tent buzzed with investors in crisp blazers and entrepreneurs in graphic tees. Their chatter, a low hum against the distant strum of a guitar. "Hi, everyone," she began, her voice steady but tinged with nervous excitement. "I'm Kaylin Voss, and I believe communities thrive when we help each other. That's why I created the Beacon Project." She clicked her remote, and a screen lit up with a mock-up of the app. A clean interface, showing a coffee shop owner posting a need for delivery volunteers, matched instantly with locals eager to help. "Small businesses are the soul of our cities," she continued, her words gaining warmth. "But they're drowning without support. My app bridges that gap free, simple, and built for impact." The crowd leaned forward, intrigued as Kaylin painted a vision of Austin's food trucks, bookstores, and boutiques thriving through shared effort. Her passion was infectious, her smile a beacon of its own. In the back, Emma Torres, a freelance coder with a laptop bag slung over her shoulder, scribbled notes, her dark eyes gleaming with interest. Emma, 26, had a sharp wit and a knack for turning ideas into code, but she'd grown tired of soulless corporate gigs. Kaylin's pitch idealistic, yet grounded, struck a chord. Nearby, James Carter, a 30-year-old marketing consultant in a casual button-down, nodded thoughtfully. James thrived on big ideas, but craved a project with heart, and Kaylin's vision felt like a rare gem in the tech world's glitter. As Kaylin wrapped up, the tent erupted in applause, but a sharp voice cut through the noise. Olivia Grant, a rival entrepreneur with sleek blonde hair and a tailored blazer, stood near the front, her smile polite but edged with challenge. "Impressive pitch, Kaylin," Olivia said smoothly, her tone deceptively warm. "But how do you scale an app that relies on volunteers? Most startups crash when they can't monetize." The crowd murmured, heads turning to Kaylin, who froze for a split second, her heart racing. Olivia's question wasn't just a critique, it was a subtle jab, questioning the practicality of Kaylin's dream in front of potential backers. Kaylin took a deep breath, her optimism unshaken. "Great question, Olivia," she replied, her voice firm but kind. "Scaling comes from community trust, not just dollars. We'll grow by showing real impact, helping one business at a time, proving volunteers can change the game. Profit isn't the goal, people are. Her response drew nods from the crowd, but Olivia's smile tightened, her eyes narrowing. She'd overheard Kaylin's pitch from a nearby tent, her own app-paid service for business networking, suddenly feeling less unique. Olivia thrived on being the best, and Kaylin's idealism threatened her spotlight. After the pitch, Kaylin stepped off the stage, her legs shaky but her spirit soaring. Emma approached, her grin wide and genuine. "That was bold," Emma said, playfully nudging Kaylin's arm. "I'm Emma Torres, coder extraordinaire. Your app's got potential, but it needs a tech backbone. I'm in, if you are." Kaylin's eyes lit up, her nerves melting into gratitude. "Seriously?" she asked, her voice warm with disbelief. "I'd love that. Let's talk." Before they could dive deeper, James joined them, his easy confidence balancing Emma's energy. "James Carter, marketing guy," he introduced himself, extending a hand. "Your pitch had heart, Kaylin. I've got ideas to get eyes on this thing. Count me in." The trio moved to a shaded corner of Zilker Park, sitting on a picnic blanket amidst festival chaos. Food trucks wafted smells of barbecue and empanadas, and a street performer juggled nearby. Kaylin shared her dream over iced coffees, her voice earnest. "I want businesses like my dad's old bookstore to survive," she said softly, her fingers tracing the rim of her cup. "He lost it because no one stepped up. This app, it's my way of making sure others don't." Emma nodded, her usual sarcasm softened. "My cousin's food truck nearly went under last year," she admitted, her tone serious. "Your idea could have saved him." James leaned in, his pragmatism tempered by enthusiasm. "Austin's perfect for this," he said eagerly. "It's got the vibe, community, creativity. We can make it work." Their laughter mingled with the festival's hum, a bond forming over shared dreams. But across the park, Olivia watched from a distance, her arms crossed, her mind racing. Kaylin's pitch had drawn attention she'd hoped to claim, and the trio's chemistry felt like a threat. "They're all talk," she muttered to herself, her voice low and calculating. "Let's see how far idealism gets them." She turned away, her heels clicking on the path, already plotting her next move, a subtle whisper to an investor, a seed of doubt about Kaylin's team. As the sun dipped below the Austin skyline, Kaylin stood, her heart full. "We're doing this," she said, her voice vibrant with hope. "Together," Emma smirked, raising her coffee cup. "To the Beacon Project, let's code the future," James grinned, clinking his cup against hers. "And market the hell out of it." They laughed, unaware of Olivia's shadow looming, her challenge sparking a rivalry that would test their resolve. The festival pulsed on, but for Kaylin, this was the start of something bigger, a spark that could light up Austin, if only they could keep it burning. The hum of downtown Austin pulsed through the glass walls of the co-working space at 800 Congress Avenue, where neon signs and exposed brick walls buzzed with the energy of startups chasing dreams. It was a Monday morning, a week after Kaylin Voss's electrifying pitch at SXSW, and the 28-year-old tech enthusiast stood in a corner office, more like a glorified cubicler, hazel eyes scanning a whiteboard scribbled with app features. The Beacon Project, her vision to connect local volunteers with small businesses, was no longer just a spark. With Emma Torres and James Carter by her side, it was starting to take shape, but the weight of turning an idea into reality pressed hard on Kaylin's shoulders. Kaylin, in a faded t-shirt and jeans, pinned a sketch of the app's interface to the wall, her movements quick but deliberate. "Okay, team," she said, her voice bright with determination. "Let's make this app something Austin can't ignore." Emma, 26, slouched in a beanbag chair, her laptop balanced on her knees, her dark hair spilling over a hoodie. The freelance coder's fingers danced across the keyboard, her brow furrowed in focus. "I'm building the volunteer matching algorithm," she said, her tone playfully smug. but don't expect miracles overnight. This thing's gotta be bulletproof. James, 30, leaned against a desk, his marketing consultant's polish evident in his crisp button-down. He jotted notes on a legal pad, his voice calm but strategic. "We need a launch campaign that screams community," he said thoughtfully. "Think food trucks, local artists, Sawston vibes all the way." Their makeshift office was a whirlwind of Post-it notes, coffee cups, and tangled charging cables, the air thick with the thrill of creation. Kaylin paused, her gaze softening as she looked at her team. "I still can't believe you guys jumped in," she said warmly, a flicker of vulnerability in her smile. Emma smirked, not looking up from her screen. "Blame your pitch, Kaylin. You had me at save the little guy." James chuckled, his eyes crinkling. "Yeah, you sold me on purpose over profit, rare in this town." Their laughter eased Kaylin's nerves, but a deeper truth lingered unspoken. She hadn't yet shared why the Beacon Project meant so much, why it wasn't just an app, but a promise. As they brainstormed, the co-working space hummed around them, coders tapping away, entrepreneurs pitching in glass-walled rooms, and baristas at the in-house cafe grinding beans. In a nearby booth, Olivia Grant, the rival entrepreneur who'd challenged Kaylin at SXSW, sat with her own team, her blonde hair sleek under fluorescent lights. Olivia's app, a paid networking platform, was gaining traction, but Kaylin's idealistic vision gnawed at her. Olivia's ambition thrived on being the best, and the Beacon Project's buzz threatened her edge. She leaned toward a colleague, her voice low and calculated. "Heard about Kaylin's team?" she said, her smile sharp. "Bunch of newbies with big dreams. No real experience. Investors might want to know that." Her words, subtle but venomous, drifted to a nearby startup founder, who raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Back in their corner, Kaylin sat cross-legged on the floor, sketching user flows. She hesitated, then spoke softly, her voice carrying a weight that quieted the room. "There's something I need to tell you guys," she said, her fingers tracing the edge of her notebook. "This app, it's personal. My dad ran a small bookstore in East Austin," Voss reads. "He poured everything into it, but when sales tanked, no one helped. No volunteers, no community. He lost it all, and it broke him." Her voice cracked, and she looked down, her cheeks flushing. "I was 15 when he shut the doors. I promised I'd find a way to keep places like that alive." Emma stopped typing, her eyes softening. "Damn, Kaylin," she said gently. "That's heavy. My cousin's food truck went through something similar. I get why this matters." James set down his pen, his pragmatism giving way to empathy. "That's why you're so stubborn about keeping it free," he said, his tone warm with understanding. "It's not just an app, it's a legacy." Kaylin nodded, her throat tight. "Yeah," she whispered, "it's for him." The moment bonded them deeper, their shared stakes forging a quiet resolve. But the harmony shattered when James's phone buzzed with an email. He scanned it, his face falling. Guys," he said nervously. "That investor from SXSW, the one who loved your pitch? They're backing out. Something about concerns over team experience." Kaylin's stomach dropped, her optimism flickering. "What?" she asked, her voice sharp with disbelief. "They were all in last week." Emma slammed her laptop shut, her eyes flashing. "Sounds like someone's been talking smack," she said, her tone edged with suspicion. The trio exchanged uneasy glances, the sting of doubt creeping in. Across the room, Olivia sipped her latte, her expression unreadable but smug. Her whispers had reached the right ears, planting seeds of hesitation without leaving a trace. She didn't need to sabotage Kaylin. Outright rumors were enough to tilt the scales. But as she watched Kaylin's team huddle, Olivia felt a twinge of unease. Their determination was stronger than she'd expected, and that spark she'd seen in Kaylin's pitch hadn't dimmed. The tension in the office boiled over when James proposed a new strategy. "Look," he said, his voice practical but urgent, "we need funding to keep this going. What if we add a freemium model? Basic features free, premium ones paid. It's standard for apps." Kaylin's eyes widened, her idealism flaring. "No way, James," she said intensely, standing up. "This app is for people like my dad, not to nickel and dime them. Free means free." Emma raised an eyebrow, caught in the middle. "James has a point," she said cautiously. "We need cash to scale, but Kaylin's right charging could alienate users." The debate grew heated, voices rising as Kaylin's passion clashed with James's pragmatism. "It's not just about money," Kaylin snapped, her voice raw. "It's about trust." James sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I get it, but trust doesn't pay server bills," he replied, his tone frustrated but earnest. The argument fizzled as they realized they were on the same side, just seeing different angles. Kaylin slumped into a chair, her resolve shaken but intact. "We'll find another way," she said quietly, her voice steadying. "We have to." Emma grinned, breaking the tension. "Guess we're the scrappy underdogs now," she said playfully, nudging Kaylin. James nodded, his smile returning. "Fine, no freemium for now," he conceded, his tone lighter. "But we need a plan B." As the day ended, the co-working space glowed with sunset light, casting long shadows over their cluttered desk. Kaylin stared at the whiteboard, her dad's bookstore vivid in her mind. The investor's withdrawal and Olivia's whispers loomed like storm clouds, but her team's bond held firm. They were building something real, something worth fighting for. "Let's keep going," she said, her voice vibrant with hope. "We're not done yet." The aroma of freshly ground coffee filled Epic Coffee at 221 W North Loop Belvidere, where Austin's eclectic North Loop neighborhood buzzed with hipsters, students, and creatives. It was a cloudy Tuesday afternoon, 2 days after the crushing news that their potential investor had backed out, and Kaylin Voss sat at a worn wooden table, her hazel eyes clouded with doubt. The 28-year-old tech enthusiast, usually a beacon of optimism, felt the weight of her dream, the Beacon Project, an app to connect volunteers with small business, slipping through her fingers. The cozy coffee shop, with its mismatched chairs and local art, should have been a refuge, but, for Kaylin, it was a battleground to salvage her team's momentum. Kaylin, in a flannel shirt and jeans, stared at her laptop, its screen displaying a half-finished app interface. Her dark hair was pulled into a messy ponytail, a sign of sleepless nights. Across from her, Emma Torres, the 26-year-old freelance coder, sipped a latte, her hoodie sleeves rolled up as she troubleshooted code on her own laptop. Emma's usual wit was subdued, her dark eyes narrowing at the screen. James Carter, the 30-year-old marketing consultant, leaned back in his chair, his button-down slightly wrinkled, his legal pad filled with crossed-out ideas. The trio's makeshift office at the co-working space had felt too stifling after the investor's rejection, and Epic's laid-back vibe offered a fresh starter, so they hoped. "Okay, let's focus," Kaylin said, her voice strained but resolute. "We lost one investor, but we're not dead yet. What's our next move?" James tapped his pen, his tone practical but cautious. "There's a local business alliance meeting next week," he suggested. "Small businesses, community leaders, they're our target users. We pitch the Beacon Project to them, show the prototype, get their buy-in." Emma nodded, her fingers pausing on the keyboard. "Solid plan," she said, her voice tinged with her usual sarcasm. "But the prototype's gotta work first." "I'm tweaking the matching algorithm, but it's glitchy as hell." Kaylin forced a smile, her heart sinking. "Glitchy how?" she asked nervously. Emma sighed, turning her laptop to show a jumble of error messages. "It's pairing volunteers with the wrong businesses," she explained, her tone frustrated. Like sending a barista to a hardware store. I can fix it, but it'll take time we don't have. Kaylin's stomach twisted, her confidence fraying. She'd poured everything into this app, inspired by her late father's bookstore, Voss Reads, which had crumbled without community support. Now, with an investor gone and the prototype faltering, she felt like she was failing him all over again. "We can't pitch a broken app," she said softly, her voice cracking. "What if I'm not cut out for this?" James leaned forward, his eyes steady. "Hey, none of that," he said firmly, his tone warm with conviction. "You're the heart of this, Kaylin. We'll figure it out." Emma grinned, her sarcasm resurfacing. "Yeah, boss, don't go soft on us now," she teased, nudging Kaylin's arm. Their support lifted Kaylin's spirits, but the doubt lingered, a shadow she couldn't shake. The coffee shop's chatter baristas calling orders, laptops humming faded as she focused on her team, their bond the only thing keeping her grounded. Then, a familiar figure entered the shop, her blonde hair catching the light. Olivia Grant, the rival entrepreneur who'd questioned Kaylin's pitch at SXSW and spread rumors about their inexperience, carried a to-go cup and a tablet, her tailored blazer out of place in Epic's casual vibe. Olivia's app, a paid networking platform, was her ticket to the top, and Kaylin's growing buzz threatened that. Spotting Kaylin's team, Olivia approached their table, her smile deceptively sweet. "Working hard, I see," she said, her voice smooth but edged with condescension. "Heard you lost an investor. Tough break." Kaylin's jaw tightened, her patience thinning. "We're fine, Olivia," she replied curtly, her tone sharp. Olivia lingered, setting her cup on the table, too close to Kaylin's laptop. "Just offering sympathy," she said, her eyes glinting with calculation. As she turned to leave, her arm brushed the cup, sending coffee spilling across Kaylin's laptop. The screen flickered, and Kaylin gasped, shoving her chair back. "Oh my God, Olivia!" she cried, her voice rising in panic. Emma jumped up, grabbing napkins, while James stared, stunned. Olivia raised her hands, feigning innocence. "Oops, total accident," she said, her tone mockingly apologetic. "Hope you backed up your work." Kaylin's frustration boiled over, her hands trembling as she wiped the keyboard. "That was no accident," she snapped, her voice intense with anger. She grabbed her laptop bag, checking for damage, and noticed Olivia's smirk. Fueled by days of stress, Kaylin stepped toward her. "You've been gunning for us since 6SW, she accused, her eyes blazing. Olivia scoffed, reaching for the bag as if to inspect it. "Don't be dramatic," she said coldly, tugging at the strap. The move sparked a brief tug-of-war, the bag jerking between them as Kaylin pulled back, her voice fierce. "Let go, Olivia!" A barista, a lanky guy with a nose ring, rushed over, his tone calm but firm. "Ladies, cool it," he said, stepping between them. Olivia released the bag, her smile tight. "No harm done," she said, sauntering out, leaving Kaylin fuming. The shop's patrons glanced over, their whispers a soft hum, but the conflict fizzled as quickly as it flared. Kaylin sank into her chair, her cheeks flushed, her laptop mercifully intact but with minor data lossum interface sketches gone. Emma checked the device, her voice steadying. "We're okay, just a few files," she said, her tone reassuring. "I've got backups." James shook his head, his expression grim. "That was no accident," he said quietly, his voice laced with suspicion. "Olivia's playing dirty." Kaylin's hands clenched, her resolve hardening. "She wants us to fail," she said, her voice low but determined. "But we won't." The barista returned with a free coffee, his smile sympathetic. "On the house," he said, his tone kind. "Y'all look like you need it." Kaylin managed a weak smile, her heart still racing. The setback technical glitches, lost data. Olivia's sabotage felt like a storm, but her team's presence anchored her. "James," "That business alliance pitch," she said, her voice steadier. "Let's make it happen. We'll fix the prototype and show them what we've got." Emma grinned, her eyes sparkling. "That's my girl," she said playfully, cracking her knuckles. "Let's debug this beast." James nodded, his pragmatism resurfacing. "We'll need a killer deck," he said eagerly. "I'm on it." As the afternoon sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm glow over Epic's eclectic decor, Kaylin felt a flicker of hope. Olivia's shadow loomed, her petty games a reminder of the challenges ahead, but Kaylin's team was unbroken. She thought of her dad's bookstore, its empty shelves a ghost in her memory, and vowed to keep fighting. "We're not just building an app," she said softly, her voice vibrant with purpose. "We're building a community." The Austin Central Library at 710 W. Cesar Chavez St. gleamed under the evening sun, its modern glass facade reflecting the city's vibrant skyline. Inside, the community tech meetup buzzed with energy coders, entrepreneurs, and enthusiasts mingling in a sleek atrium lined with bookshelves and neon-lit study nooks. Kaylin Voss, the 28-year-old visionary behind the Beacon Project, stood near a table of 3D printed gadgets, her hazel eyes scanning the crowd for potential allies. The setbacks losing an investor, a buggy prototype, and Olivia Grant's coffee spill sabotage at Epic Coffee had shaken her confidence. But the library's open, collaborative vibe felt like a lifeline for her dream to connect volunteers with small businesses. Kaylin, in a simple black sweater and jeans, adjusted her name tag, her dark hair loose around her shoulders. Beside her, Emma Torres, the 26-year-old freelance coder, fiddled with a smartwatch, her hoodie and quick grin masking her fatigue from debugging the prototype. James Carter, the 30-year-old marketing consultant, sipped sparkling water, his button-down crisp despite late nights crafting a pitch for the business alliance. The trio's bond, forged at SXSW and tested by recent challenges, held firm, but Kaylin felt the pressure of leading them. "This meetup's our shot," she said, her voice bright but tinged with anxiety. "We need connections, someone who gets what we're doing." Emma smirked, her eyes scanning the room. "Or at least someone who can keep up with my code," she said playfully, nudging Kaylin. James chuckled, his tone pragmatic but warm. "Let's work the room," he suggested, gesturing to clusters of techies. "Find a mentor, a partner, anyone who can help us nail that alliance pitch." The library hummed with chatter demo pitches, laughter, and the clink of glasses. Austin's tech scene came alive. Kaylin nodded, her resolve flickering back. She thought of her dad's bookstore, Voss Reads, its empty shelves a ghost in her memory, urging her to keep fighting. They split up, weaving through the crowd. Kaylin approached a table where a gray-haired man in a plaid shirt demonstrated an old-school app interface on a tablet. Liam Hayes, a retired app developer in his late 50s, had a weathered charm, his eyes sharp with wisdom. "This was my first app," Liam said to a small group, his voice gravelly but engaging. "Clunky, but it taught me user engagement's everything." Kaylin listened, captivated, her curiosity sparking. She stepped forward, her voice tentative but earnest. "Hi, I'm Kaylin Voss," she introduced herself. "Your app's cool, reminds me of what we're building. It's called the Beacon Project, connecting volunteers to small businesses." Liam raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Volunteers, huh?" he said, his tone thoughtful. "That's bold in a profit-driven world. Tell me more." Kaylin's nerves eased, her passion surfacing. "It's about community," she said warmly, her eyes lighting up. "Small businesses like food trucks or bookstores, they need help, not just money. Our app matches them with locals who care." Liam nodded, his smile crinkling his face. "I like the heart behind it," he said sincerely. "I've seen too many apps chase cash over impact. You've got my attention." Kaylin's heart soared, a glimmer of hope cutting through her doubts. Emma and James joined them, drawn by Kaylin's animated gestures. "This is my team," Kaylin said proudly, introducing Emma and James. Emma grinned, her sarcasm playful. "I'm the code wizard keeping this dream alive," she said, winking. James extended a hand, his confidence steady. "James, marketing. We're pitching to a business alliance soon," he said, his tone eager. Liam listened, his gaze assessing but kind. "You've got a good crew," he said, his voice firm. "But heart alone won't cut it. User engagement's key. Make it simple. Make it sticky. I could help if you're open to a mentor." Kaylin's jaw dropped, her voice bubbling with gratitude. "Seriously? That'd be amazing," she said, her smile wide. But the moment shifted when Olivia Grant glided into the group, her blonde hair sleek under the library's lights, her tailored blazer exuding polish. Olivia, whose rumors and coffee spill sabotage had rattled Kaylin's team, spotted Liam and saw an opportunity. "Liam Hayes, right?" she said, her voice smooth and charming. "I'm Olivia Grant, working on a networking app. I'd love your input. Someone with your experience could really elevate my project." Her smile was dazzling, but Liam's expression remained neutral, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Heard of your app," he said evenly. "Sounds polished, but I'm more into projects with soul." Olivia's smile faltered, her charm failing to sway him. Kaylin watched, her pulse quickening, wary of Olivia's tactics. The meetup's energy demos beeping, voices overlapping faded as the group settled into a quieter corner, sipping drinks. Liam turned to Kaylin's team, his tone direct but constructive. "Your app's got potential," he said, his voice serious. "But you're missing a monetization plan. Free's noble, but servers cost money. How do you sustain it?" The question hit like a jolt, echoing their freemium debate from the co-working space. Kaylin's idealism flared, her voice intense. "It's about trust, Liam," she said, her hands gesturing. "Charging users betrays that. We'll find grants, sponsor something." James shifted, his pragmatism resurfacing. "Liam's got a point," he said cautiously, his tone measured. "We need a long-term plan, Kaylin. Maybe a donation model, not full freemium, but something." Emma, caught in the middle, frowned, her voice hesitant. "I hate to say it, but cash flow's real," she said, her eyes flicking to Kaylin. "We can't code on vibes alone." The debate grew heated, voices overlapping as Kaylin's passion clashed with practical concerns. "This isn't just about money," Kaylin said, her voice raw. "It's about people like my dad who lost everything because no one helped." Her words hung heavy, silencing the group. Emma's eyes softened, her sarcasm gone. "Your dad's bookstore," she said gently. "That's why you're fighting so hard. I get it now." James nodded, his expression remorseful. "I didn't mean to push," he said quietly, his tone sincere. "We're on your side." Liam leaned back, his smile approving. "That's the fire you need," he said, his voice warm. "But balance it with strategy. I'll help you find that sweet spot." Kaylin exhaled, her heart steadying, grateful for their support and Liam's wisdom. Olivia, lingering nearby, overheard the exchange, her face tightening. Liam's rejection stung, and Kaylin's team's unity gnawed at her. She slipped away, her mind plotting, but her influence felt weaker here, in a space where authenticity trumped polish. The library's atrium glowed, its bookshelves a quiet testament to knowledge shared freely, mirroring Kaylin's vision. As the meetup wound down, Kaylin stood with her team and Liam, her resolve renewed. "Let's make that alliance pitch unforgettable," she said, her voice vibrant with hope. "With you, Liam, we've got a shot." Emma grinned, her energy back. "Time to code like my life depends on it," she said playfully. James clapped Liam's shoulder, his smile wide. "Welcome to the chaos," he said, his tone light. The library's hum faded, but Kaylin felt a spark reignite, her dad's memory urging her forward. The East Austin Community Center at 600 River St. pulsed with life, its colorful murals and open courtyard alive with the chatter of local business owners, volunteers, and tech enthusiasts. It was a warm Saturday evening, and Kaylin Voss, the 28-year-old visionary behind the Beacon Project, stood at the center of it all, her hazel eyes bright with nervous excitement. The team had worked tirelessly to prepare for this demo, a make-or-break chance to showcase their app's volunteer matching feature to Austin's small business community. After setbacks and investors' withdrawal, a buggy prototype, and Olivia Grant's sabotage at Epic Coffee, Kaylin felt the weight of proving her dream could work. Inspired by her late father's bookstore, Voss reads. Kaylin, in a navy blouse and jeans, adjusted a projector screen, her dark hair pulled back in a neat braid. The courtyard buzzed with food trucks serving tacos and kombucha, local musicians strumming guitars, and tables displaying the team's app mock-ups. Emma Torres, the 26-year-old coder, fiddled with a laptop connected to the projector, her hoodie swapped for a rare button-up, her dark eyes focused despite late-night debugging. James Carter, the 30-year-old marketing consultant, worked the crowd, his button-down sleeves rolled up, his charisma drawing smiles from shop owners. Liam Hayes, their new mentor, stood nearby, his plaid shirt and gray hair a calming presence, his sharp eyes scanning the setup. "You've got this," Liam said, his voice gravelly but reassuring, clapping Kaylin's shoulder. Kaylin nodded, her heart racing, her resolve bolstered by his wisdom. "All right, let's do this," Kaylin said, her voice vibrant but tinged with nerves, stepping to the front of the crowd. The projector lit up, displaying the Beacon Project's sleek interface. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her smile warm. "This app connects small businesses with volunteers who care. Imagine a food truck needing delivery help or a bookstore needing event staff. Our app makes it happen free and fast." She demonstrated the prototype, swiping through a mock scenario, a cafe owner posting a need, instantly matched with a local volunteer. The crowd murmured approvingly, owners nodding, some snapping photos. Emma grinned, her code finally stable, while James handed out flyers, his pitch smooth. "This is Austin's heart in action," he told a baker, his tone earnest. The demo was a hit. A food truck owner, Maria, a middle-aged woman with a warm smile, signed up on the spot. "This could have saved my truck last year," she said gratefully, shaking Kaylin's hand. A bookstore manager, a young guy with tattoos, downloaded the beta, excited for event volunteers. Kaylin's chest swelled with pride, her dad's memory vivid. She was keeping his legacy alive. But as she scanned the crowd, her eyes landed on Olivia Grant, the rival entrepreneur whose rumors and coffee spill antics had plagued them. Olivia, in a chic blazer, stood near the back, her blonde hair gleaming, her phone discreetly angled toward the screen, recording the demo. Kaylin's stomach churned, her triumph souring. Olivia's app, a paid networking platform, competed for the same spotlight, and her presence felt like a storm cloud. Kaylin whispered to Emma, her voice low and tense. "She's recording us," she said, her eyes narrowing. Emma glanced over, her sarcasm sharp. "Of course she is," she muttered, her tone biting. "Girls got no shame." James, overhearing, frowned, his voice cautious. "Could be harmless," he said, but his eyes betrayed doubt. Kaylin's mind raced. Olivia's recording wasn't illegal, but it reeked of theft, a betrayal of the meetup's collaborative spirit. Worse, it sparked a darker fear. Had someone leaked their plans? The event wound down, the courtyard glowing with string lights, the crowd thinning as owners chatted over drinks. Kaylin, Emma, and James huddled near a taco truck, their mood dampened. Liam joined them, his tone encouraging. "You nailed it," he said warmly. "Maria's already got volunteers lined up. That's impact." Kaylin forced a smile, her voice strained. "Thanks, Liam," she said. "But Olivia's up to something. She recorded everything." Liam's eyes narrowed, his wisdom cutting through. "She's rattled," he said firmly. "Focus on your strengths. She can't steal your heart." But Kaylin's unease festered, her thoughts turning to James. He'd been secretive lately, taking private calls with contacts, vague about details. The investor's withdrawal, blamed on rumors, gnawed at her. Had James, with his investor ties, let something slip? The suspicion, fueled by stress, erupted as they packed up. "James," Kaylin said, her voice sharp, "those calls you've been taking, who are you talking to?" James paused, his expression confused. "What's this about?" he asked, his tone defensive. Emma looked between them, her voice hesitant. "Kaylin, chill," she said. But Kaylin pressed on, her voice intense. "Olivia knew too much," she accused, her eyes flashing. "Did you tell someone our plans?" The courtyard fell quiet, the remaining attendees glancing over. James's face hardened, his voice low but hurt. "You think I'd betray us?" he asked, his tone raw. "I've been pitching to Grants, Kaylin, keeping us alive. I thought you trusted me." Kaylin's heart sank, her anger dissolving into guilt. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice cracking. Olivia's getting to me." Emma stepped in, her tone firm but kind. "We're a team, okay?" she said, her eyes steady. "No one's leaking anything. Olivia's just desperate." James exhaled, his shoulders relaxing. "Let's focus on the win," he said quietly, his tone forgiving but bruised. Olivia, watching from a distance, slipped her phone into her pocket, her smile smug. Recording the demo was a calculated move. She'd tweak her app to mimic Kaylin's features, banking on her polish to outshine their idealism. But as she left, a twinge of doubt crept in. The crowd's enthusiasm for Kaylin's app, Maria's gratitude, the team's unity, it was something her app lacked. She pushed the thought away, her ambition overriding her unease. A food truck vendor, a wiry man with a beard, approached Kaylin's team, offering free tacos. "Y'all are doing good work," he said, his tone genuine, his smile wide. Kaylin accepted the taco, her heart lifting. "Thanks," she said softly, her voice vibrant with renewed purpose. The demo's success, despite Olivia's shadow, was proof their vision resonated. She looked at Emma and James, her guilt lingering but her resolve firm. "We're stronger than her games," she said, her voice steady. Emma grinned, her sarcasm back. "Damn right," she said, biting into a taco. "Let's keep cooking." James nodded, his smile tentative. "Alliance pitch is next," he said, his tone hopeful. "We've got this." As the courtyard lights twinkled, reflecting East Austin's diverse spirit, Kaylin felt her dad's memory urging her forward. The Beacon Project was alive, but Olivia's recording and her own mistrust had cracked their unity. She vowed to rebuild, to lead better. The night air carried the scent of tacos and possibility, a reminder that their fight was just beginning. The Lady Bird Lake Boardwalk, part of the Ann and Roy Butler hike and bike trail, stretched along Austin's shimmering waterfront, its wooden planks bathed in the soft glow of dusk. Joggers, cyclists, and couples strolled past, their chatter mingling with the gentle lapping of water against the shore. Kaylin Voss, the 28-year-old visionary behind the Beacon Project, walked alone, her sneakers scuffing the path, her hazel eyes fixed on the horizon. The success of their prototype demo at the East Austin Community Center lingered in her heart, but Olivia Grant's secret recording and Kaylin's own accusation against James Carter weighed heavily, fraying her trust and resolve. She needed clarity, and the boardwalk's open air felt like the only place to find it. Kaylin, in a worn denim jacket and jeans, clutched a small notebook, its pages filled with Beacon Project sketches and dreams inspired by her late father's bookstore, Voss Reads. Her dark hair fluttered in the breeze, and her face, usually bright with optimism, was etched with worry. The demo had been a triumph, local businesses signing up, Volunteers buzzing, but Olivia's phone, angled to steal their ideas, had cast a shadow. Worse, Kaylin's snap accusation that James might have leaked plans had strained their friendship, leaving her guilt-ridden. She paused by a bench, the city skyline twinkling across the lake, and scribbled a note. "Trust the team." Beat Olivia with heart. Her dad's memory urged her forward, but doubt gnawed at her. As she walked, a familiar figure emerged from the crowd, her blonde hair catching the fading light. Olivia Grant, the rival entrepreneur who'd undermined Kaylin at SXSW, spread rumors, and sabotaged her laptop, strode confidently, her tailored blazer swapped for a sleek athleisure outfit, her phone in hand. Olivia's app, a paid networking platform, thrived on polish, but Kaylin's community-driven beacon project threatened her edge. Spotting Kaylin, Olivia's lips curved into a sharp smile, her eyes glinting with calculation. "Fancy meeting you here," she said, her voice smooth but laced with mockery. "Still riding that demo high?" Kaylin's pulse quickened, her patience worn thin by Olivia's games. "What do you want, Olivia?" she asked, her tone curt, her grip tightening on her notebook. Olivia stepped closer, her smile widening. "Just enjoying the view," she said, her voice deceptively casual. "Your little app's getting buzz, but let's be real, it's naive. Communities don't scale. My app's built for winners." Kaylin's jaw clenched, her idealism flaring. "It's not about winning," she shot back, her voice intense. "It's about helping people, something you wouldn't get." The argument escalated, their voices rising over the boardwalk's hum. Olivia's taunt cut deeper, her tone biting. "I recorded your demo because you're sloppy," she admitted, her eyes cold. "Your ideas are cute, but they're mine to improve. That's business, Kaylin." Kaylin's heart pounded, her anger surging at Olivia's brazen ethics. "That's stealing," she snapped, her voice raw. "You can't fake what we're building." Olivia laughed, her confidence unshaken, and reached for Kaylin's notebook, mistaking it for app plans. "Let's see what else you've got," she said, her voice taunting, yanking the book. Kaylin reacted instinctively, pulling back, sparking a brief scuffle. The notebook jerked between them, pages flapping as Kaylin's voice rose, fierce and desperate. "Give it back, Olivia," she shouted, her hands trembling. Olivia tugged harder, her smirk fading into determination, but her heel caught on a board, sending both stumbling. Kaylin's shoulder bumped Olivia's, a light push that unbalanced them. A jogger, a wiry woman in her 30s with a bright headband, sprinted over, her voice calm but firm. "Whoa, break it up," she said, stepping between them. Olivia dropped the notebook, her face flushing, and backed off, her tone defensive. "Not worth it," she muttered, storming away, her confidence rattled. The boardwalk's crowd glanced over, some whispering, but the conflict dissolved as quickly as it flared. Kaylin scooped up her notebook, her breath ragged, her cheeks hot with adrenaline. The jogger lingered, her tone kind. "You okay?" she asked, her eyes concerned. Kaylin nodded, her voice shaky but grateful. "Yeah, thanks," she said, clutching the book to her chest. The jogger jogged off, leaving Kaylin alone, the lake's ripples mirroring her swirling emotions. Olivia's admission recording the demo, stealing ideas confirmed her worst fears, but the scuffle, petty as it was, sparked a fire in Kaylin. She wouldn't let Olivia's tactics dim her vision. Kaylin sat on the bench, flipping open her notebook, her dad's bookstore vivid in her mind. The pages held sketches of volunteer flows, community event streams she'd poured her heart into. Olivia's taunts echoed, but so did Liam Hayes' words from the library meetup, "Focus on your strengths." Her team Emma's coding grit, James's marketing savvy, Liam's mentorship was her strength, despite her mistrust of James. She regretted her accusation, the hurt in his eyes haunting her. "I'm better than this," she whispered, her voice resolute, vowing to mend the rift. Across the boardwalk, Olivia reached a quieter stretch, her steps slowing. Her phone held the demo recording, a potential edge for her app, but Kaylin's fierce defense unsettled her. Olivia thrived on being the best, but the community center's enthusiasm, Maria's gratitude, the crowd's cheers exposed a gap in her polished world. She pushed the doubt down, her ambitions stealing her, but a crack had formed. She'd tweak her app, outshine Kaylin, prove her way was right. Yet, as she glanced back at the boardwalk, Kaylin's silhouette on the bench lingered, a quiet challenge. A food cart nearby, selling shaved ice, drew a small crowd. Its vendor, a cheerful man with a thick beard, calling out flavors. Kaylin approached, needing a moment of normalcy. "Mango, please," she said, her voice steadier, offering a small smile. The vendor handed her the treat, his tone warm. "Rough day?" he asked, his eyes kind. Kaylin laughed softly, her tension easing. "You could say that," she said, her voice light. "But I'm not done fighting." He nodded, his smile encouraging. "Keep at it," he said, waving as she walked away. The boardwalk's lights flickered on, casting a golden glow over the lake, reflecting Austin's vibrant spirit. Kaylin finished her shaved ice, her resolve crystallizing. Olivia's games rumors, sabotage, now theft were hurdles. But her team's heart was unbreakable. She thought of her dad, his bookstore's empty shelves a call to action. "We're stronger than this," she said aloud, her voice vibrant with purpose, ready to rebuild trust with James and Emma. The city hummed around her, a reminder that the Beacon Project was worth every battle. The soft glow of string lights draped across Kaylin Voss's apartment at 2000 S Congress. Ave cast a warm ambiance over the cozy living room, where mismatched furniture and framed photos of Austin's skyline created a haven in South Austin's eclectic heart. It was a quiet Sunday evening, and Kaylin, the 28-year-old visionary behind the Beacon Project, stood by her kitchen counter, her hazel eyes heavy with guilt. The confrontation with Olivia Grant on the Lady Bird Lake boardwalk, Olivia's taunts, the scuffle over her notebook had left Kaylin shaken but resolute. Worse, her accusation against James Carter for leaking plans at the demo had fractured their team, and she needed to mend it. The Beacon Project, her app to connect volunteers with small businesses, was inspired by her late father's bookstore, Voss Reads, and she couldn't let mistrust derail it. Kaylin, in a loose sweater and jeans, set out a tray of chips and salsa, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun. The apartment smelled of cedar and coffee, a grounding contrast to the chaos of recent weeks' investor setbacks, prototype bugs, Olivia's sabotage. Emma Torres, the 26-year-old coder, sprawled on the couch, her hoodie swapped for a t-shirt, her laptop open, her dark eyes gleaming with quiet triumph. James Carter, the 30-year-old marketing consultant, leaned against a bookshelf, his button-down untucked, his expression guarded. Liam Hayes, their mentor, sat in an armchair, his plaid shirt and gray hair a steady presence, his sharp eyes watching the group. "Nice place," Liam said, his voice gravelly but warm, breaking the tension. Kaylin managed a smile, her voice tentative. "Thanks for coming," she said softly. "We need to talk." Emma glanced up, her sarcasm playful but cautious. "Talk, huh? Sounds serious," she said, popping a chip into her mouth. James stayed silent, his arms crossed, the hurt from Kaylin's accusation lingering. Kaylin took a deep breath, her heart racing, and stepped forward, her voice raw with sincerity. "James, I'm sorry," she said, her eyes meeting his. "I was wrong to accuse you of leaking anything. I let Olivia get in my head, and I hurt you. That's on me." James's expression softened, his voice low but honest. "It stung, Kaylin," he said, his tone wounded but forgiving. "I've been busting my ass for this. Those calls? They were to secure a grant from a local foundation. I kept it quiet to avoid jinxing it." Kaylin's guilt deepened, her voice cracking. "I should have trusted you," she said, her hands twisting together. "You're my team, my family." Emma leaned forward, her tone gentle, cutting through her usual wit. "We're good, James," she said, her eyes steady. "Kaylin's just stressed. Olivia's been a thorn since SXSW. James exhaled, his smile tentative. "Apology accepted," he said warmly, uncrossing his arms. "Let's move forward." The room's tension eased, the team's bond knitting back together, but Kaylin sensed more needed to be said. Emma cleared her throat, her voice hesitant, a rare vulnerability surfacing.
"Since we're being real,"
she said, her eyes flicking to the floor,
"I've got something too."
"Olivia," she reached out last week, offered me a gig on her app team. Better pay, benefits, the works. Kaylin's breath caught, her heart sinking, while James's eyes widened, his tone sharp. "You didn't take it, did you?" he asked, his voice tense. Emma shook her head, her voice firm but pained. "No way," she said, her eyes meeting theirs. "But I thought about it. Money's tight, and coding freelance isn't exactly stable. I stayed because this project, this team means more." The admission sparked a debate, the air thickening with emotion. Kaylin's voice trembled, her idealism clashing with empathy. "Emma, why didn't you tell us?" she asked, her tone soft but urgent. "We could have helped," Emma shrugged, her sarcasm masking hurt. "Didn't want to seem disloyal," she said quietly. "But loyalty doesn't pay my rent." James leaned in, his pragmatism tempered by understanding. "I get the money thing," he said earnestly. "But we're building something real. That's worth more than Olivia's cash grab." Liam, silent until now, spoke, his voice steady. "This is good," he said, his tone wise. "Honesty strengthens teams. Emma, you chose heart over money. That's your power. Now, how do we keep it sustainable?" The discussion turned constructive, the team grappling with loyalty versus financial stability. Kaylin's eyes lit up, her voice vibrant. "We'll find grants, like James's," she said, her passion reigniting. "Maybe local sponsorships, businesses who believe in us." Emma nodded, her grin returning. "I'm in," she said playfully, "but I'm holding you to that rent thing." James chuckled, his tension gone. "Deal," he said, his tone light. The debate resolved, their unity deepened, each member's vulnerability forging a stronger bond. Emma shifted gears, her voice triumphant. "Oh, and big news," she said, turning her laptop. "I fixed the prototype bug. The matching algorithm's smooth, now no more baristas at hardware stores." Kaylin's jaw dropped, her voice bubbling with relief. "You're a genius," she said, hugging Emma. Liam leaned forward, his eyes sharp with strategy. "Perfect timing," he said, his tone decisive. "Olivia's probably tweaking her app with your demo ideas. Let's beat her to the punch launch, a public beta. Get users hooked before she can copy you." Kaylin's heart raced, her resolve solidifying. "A beta," she said, her voice eager. "That's our next move." Meanwhile, across town, Olivia Grant sat in a sleek office, her team unveiling her app's new feature serially, similar to Kaylin's volunteer matching system. Launched with fanfare, it promised networking for businesses, but lacked the Beacon Project's community soul. The response was lukewarm, users on X calling it soulless and profit-driven. Olivia's smile tightened, her ambition bruised. She'd banked on outshining Kaylin, but the demo's heart, Maria's gratitude, the crowd's cheer chaunted her. Doubt crept in, but she pushed it aside, vowing to refine her app. Back at Kaylin's apartment, a neighbor, a cheerful woman with a nose piercing, knocked, dropping off a batch of homemade cookies. "Heard you're changing the game," she said, her tone kind, her smile wide. Kaylin accepted the cookies, her heart lifting. "Trying to," she said warmly, her voice grateful. The neighbor's gesture, small but genuine, echoed Austin's community spirit, reinforcing Kaylin's mission. She set the cookies on the counter, her dad's bookstore vivid in her mind. "We're back," she said, her voice vibrant with purpose, looking at Emma, James, and Liam. Emma raised a cookie, her sarcasm sharp. "To kicking Olivia's app to the curb," she said, winking. James grinned, his confidence restored. "And nailing that beta," he added, his tone eager. Liam nodded, his smile approving. "You've got the heart," he said, his voice firm. "Now show the world." The apartment's glow wrapped the team in warmth, the city's hum a distant pulse outside. Kaylin felt the cracks in their trust mending. Olivia's rival app a challenge they'd faced together. Her dad's memory-empty shelves, a broken dream fueled her. The Beacon Project was more than an app. It was a promise to build community, and they were ready for the next step. Austin City Hall Plaza at 301 W Twin St buzzed with vibrant energy, its open courtyard transformed into a tech fair under a brilliant April sun. Food trucks lined the edges, serving brisket sliders and vegan tacos, while local bands played upbeat tunes on a pop-up stage. Kaylin Voss, the 28-year-old visionary behind the Beacon Project, stood at the heart of the fair, her hazel eyes alight with anticipation. The public beta launch of their app connecting volunteers with small businesses was their boldest move yet, a chance to prove their vision after setbacks, rivalries, and team tensions. Inspired by her late father's bookstore, Voss reads, Kaylin felt the weight of this moment, her dream teetering on the edge of triumph. Kaylin, in a crisp white shirt and jeans, adjusted a banner displaying the Beacon Project's logo, her dark hair pulled into a high ponytail. The plaza swarmed with diverse Austin ITEStech enthusiasts, shop owners, familiars testing the app on tablets set up at booths. Emma Torres, the 26-year-old coder, manned a demo station, her t-shirt emblazoned with "Code Hard, Love Soft," her dark eyes sparkling as she guided users through the app's volunteer matching feature. James Carter, the 30-year-old marketing consultant, worked the crowd, his button-down sleeves rolled up, his charisma drawing in curious passers-by. Liam Hayes, their mentor, stood near Kaylin, his plaid shirt and gray hair a steady presence, his sharp eyes scanning the fair. "This is your moment," Liam said, his voice gravelly but encouraging, patting her arm. Kaylin nodded, her heart racing, her resolve fortified by their reconciled team. "Let's light this up," Kaylin said, her voice vibrant with excitement, stepping to a microphone on a small stage. The crowd gathered, phones out, as she spoke, her smile warm. "Welcome to the Beacon Project beta launch," she announced, her tone earnest. "This app brings Austin's heart to life, volunteers helping small businesses, from food trucks to bookstores, for free." She showcased the app, demonstrating a live match. A coffee shop owner needing event staff instantly paired with a local volunteer. The crowd cheered, users downloading the beta, their faces lit with enthusiasm. Emma grinned, her code humming flawlessly, while James handed out stickers, his pitch infectious. "Join the movement," he told a barista, his tone eager. "This is Austin's future." The fair was a whirlwind of success. A food truck owner, Javier, a burly man with a warm laugh, tested the app, securing volunteers for a festival. "This is a game changer," he said gratefully, clapping Kaylin's shoulder. A bookstore owner, a young woman with braided hair, signed up, excited for community events. By midday, thousands of users had joined, posts flooding X with Beacon Project, praising its ease and impact. Kaylin's chest swelled, her dad's memory vivid. She was building the community he'd dreamed of. But as she scanned the crowd, her eyes caught Olivia Grant, the rival entrepreneur who'd recorded their demo, standing near a booth, her blonde hair sleek, her blazer sharp. Olivia's app, a profit-driven networking platform, had flopped, and her presence here felt ominous. Olivia mingled, her smile polished but calculated, whispering to attendees, Great app, she said to a vendor, her voice smooth. But how do they protect your data? Free apps often cut corners. Her words, subtle but pointed, aimed to sow doubt, leveraging fears about privacy. Kaylin overheard, her pulse quickening, her triumph tinged with unease. Emma, catching the exchange, rolled her eyes, her sarcasm sharp. She's at it again, she muttered, her tone biting. James frowned, his voice low. She's desperate, he said, his eyes wary. Liam leaned in, his tone firm. Let her talk, he said, his voice steady. Your transparency's your shield. Kaylin nodded, her resolve hardening. She'd built the app with open privacy policies, shared on their website, earning user trust. The crowd's enthusiasm drowned Olivia's whispers, users dismissing her doubts. I checked their policy, a cafe owner told another, her tone confident.
It's solid.
Olivia's smile tightened, her tactic failing, her ambition bruised by the community's faith in Kaylin. But the fair's momentum faced a new challenge when a business owner, Marcus, a middle-aged man with a skeptical frown, approached Kaylin. Love the app, he said, his voice gruff but earnest. But how's it viable long-term? Volunteers burn out, servers cost money. What's the plan? The question, echoing Liam's monetization critique, sparked a debate, drawing a small crowd. Kaylin's heart sank, her idealism tested, her voice trembling. It's about community, not profit, she said, her tone intense. We'll find grants, sponsors, ways to keep it free. Marcus crossed his arms, his tone challenging. Community's great, but businesses need stability, he said, his voice firm. Tech's gotta last. Emma jumped in, her voice steady but diplomatic. We're exploring local partnerships, she said, her eyes flicking to Kaylin. It's early, but we're committed, James added, his charisma smooth. Think of it as Austin investing in itself, he said, his tone persuasive. The crowd murmured, some nodding, but Kaylin felt the pressure, her dad's bookstore flashing in her mind, its failure a warning. She took a deep breath, her voice rising with passion. This app isn't just tech, she said, her eyes blazing. It's people choosing to help each other, like this city does best. We'll make it last, because we believe in it, and so do you. Her words, raw and heartfelt, silenced Marcus, his frown softening, the crowd clapping, their faith renewed. Olivia watched, her face unreadable, her doubts ignored. She slipped away, her app's failure on Zoozers calling it cold and transactional gnawing at her. Kaylin's passion, the fair's energy, exposed a truth she couldn't shake. Her polish lacked soul. Yet, she vowed to fight on, her ambition unyielding. Liam, observing the exchange, pulled Kaylin aside, his voice excited. That was leadership, he said, his smile wide. I've got to contact a major investor, Elena Ruiz. She's here, loves your vibe. Meet her tomorrow. Kaylin's jaw dropped, her voice bubbling with hope. Really? She said, her eyes wide. Liam, you're a lifesaver. A street vendor, a wiry woman with a bright apron, approached, offering free lemonade.
Y'all are making waves,
she said, her tone kind, her smile infectious. Kaylin accepted the drink, her heart lifting. Thanks, she said warmly, her voice grateful. The vendor's gesture, small but genuine, mirrored the app's mission, grounding Kaylin. She joined Emma and James, their faces glowing with pride. Thousands of users, Emma said, her sarcasm playful. Not bad for a naive app. James grinned, his confidence high. Elena's our shot, he said eagerly. Let's prep. Kaylin nodded, her dad's memory urging her forward. We're unstoppable, she said, her voice vibrant with purpose, Olivia's shadow fading against their light. The plaza's music pulsed, reflecting Austin's diverse spirit, as the fair wound down. Kaylin felt the city's heartbeat, her team's unity. and the app's impact fueling her. The investor meeting loomed, a chance to soar, but Olivia's presence lingered, a reminder of battles ahead. The Beacon project was thriving, and Kaylin was ready to lead it higher. The Austin Convention Center at 500 E. Cesar Chavez St. loomed grandly against the city's skyline, its glass walls reflecting the vibrant pulse of downtown Austin. Inside, the tech pitch competition buzzed with anticipation. A cavernous hall filled with sleek booths, flashing screens, and the hum of ambitious startups vying for funding. Kaylin Voss, the 28-year-old visionary behind the Beacon project, stood backstage, her hazel eyes darting over her note cards, her heart pounding. The app connecting volunteers with small businesses shed soared in its beta launch, but this pitch was their shot at nationwide expansion, a dream inspired by her late father's bookstore, Voss Reads. Olivia Grant's relentless rivalry loomed, and tonight, the stakes were higher than ever. Kaylin, in a tailored blazer and jeans, adjusted her earpiece, her dark hair pulled into a sleek bun. Emma Torres, the 26-year-old coder, hovered over a demo laptop, her t-shirt swapped for a button-up, her dark eyes focused as she double-checked the app's interface. James Carter, the 30-year-old marketing consultant, reviewed their pitch deck on a tablet, his button-down crisp, his charisma tempered by nerves. Liam Hayes, their mentor, stood nearby, his plaid shirt and gray hair a calming anchor, his sharp eyes scanning the setup. "You're ready," Liam said, his voice gravelly but steady, squeezing Kaylin's shoulder. Kaylin nodded, her voice tight with resolve. "We've come too far to falter," she said, her tone vibrant but anxious. The convention center thrummed with energy investors in suits, techies in hoodies, and judges at a long table, their gazes sharp. The team's booth displayed the Beacon Project's logo, with flyers touting thousands of beta users and testimonials from Austin's food trucks and bookstores. Emma's debugged prototype ran smoothly, and James's marketing visuals popped with local flair. But as Kaylin rehearsed her opening lines, she overheard a hushed conversation behind a partition. Olivia Grant's voice, smooth and calculating, cut through the noise. "A quick virus on their laptop," Olivia whispered to a tech assistant, her blonde hair gleaming under stage lights. "Just enough to crash their demo. They'll look amateur." Kaylin's stomach dropped, her pulse racing. Olivia, whose rumors, sabotage, and demo recording had plagued them, was escalating her tactics. Her app, a profit-driven networking platform, was in the competition, pitched as a better alternative, but its lack of soul had left it struggling. Kaylin slipped back to her team, her voice low and urgent. "Olivia's planning to sabotage our laptop," she said, her eyes wide. Emma's jaw clenched, her sarcasm sharp. "Of course she is," she muttered, her tone biting. "She's got no game, so she cheats." James's face hardened, his voice tense. "We can't let her ruin this," he said, his eyes flashing. Liam's expression darkened, his tone firm. "We beat her with skill, not panic," he said, his voice steady. The team huddled, the competition's clock ticking. Emma cracked her knuckles, her voice determined. "I can lock down the system," she said, her fingers flying over the laptop. "Firewalls, encryption, Olivia's virus won't touch us." Kaylin nodded, her trust in Emma absolute, her voice fervent. "Do it," she said, her eyes locked on Emma's. James grabbed his phone, his tone practical. "I'll alert security to watch her team," he said, his voice low. "Discreetly." Liam offered a rare grin, his voice warm. "This is why you're a team," he said, his eyes crinkling. The hall's noise presenters rehearsing, crowds mingling faded as they worked, their unity a shield against Olivia's threat. As night fell, the team burned the midnight oil in a backstage room, Emma leading an overnight coding marathon. Lines of code scrolled across her screen, her focus unbreakable, her voice muttering technical terms like a mantra. Kaylin paced, her nerves fraying, her dad's bookstore vivid in her mind, its failure, a reminder of what was at stake. James brewed coffee, his charisma replaced by quiet resolve, while Liam reviewed their pitch, his wisdom grounding them. By dawn, Emma leaned back, her voice triumphant. "System secure," she said, her grin wide. "Olivia's virus can kiss my code goodbye." Kaylin hugged her, her voice bubbling with relief. "You're a rock star," she said, her eyes shining. But as they prepared for the pitch, a new tension arose. James, sipping coffee, his voice heated, spoke up. "We should expose Olivia," he said, his tone intense. "Tell the judges she tried to sabotage us. She doesn't deserve to compete." Kaylin hesitated, her idealism clashing with fairness, her voice soft but firm. "No, James," she said, her eyes steady. "We win by being better, not by dragging her down, exposing her looks petty." Emma raised an eyebrow, her tone cautious. "I get James's point," she said, her voice measured. "She's playing dirty, but Kaylin's writer app's the star. Let it shine." Liam nodded, his voice wise. "Integrity's your edge," he said, his tone approving. "Olivia's tactics will bury her." The debate, brief but charged, resolved with a shared nod, the team choosing the high road. Kaylin's heart steadied, her commitment to her dad's legacy community over vengeance guiding her. But Olivia's presence in the competition, her polished booth across the hall, gnawed at her. Olivia, unaware her sabotage plan was foiled, exuded confidence, her app's new features mimicked from Kaylin's demo flaunted in glossy visuals. Yet her team's forced smiles and sparse crowd hinted at her app's fading traction, posts on X still calling it cold. Olivia's ambition burned, but doubt flickered. Kaylin's resilience, a mirror to her own flaws. A volunteer, a young woman with a bright scarf, approached Kaylin's booth, her voice enthusiastic. "I used your app to help a food truck," she said, her smile wide. "It's amazing." Kaylin's heart lifted, her voice warm. "That's why we do this," she said, her eyes grateful. The volunteer's words, simple but heartfelt, echoed Austin's community spirit, grounding Kaylin. She joined Emma, James, and Liam, their faces tense but hopeful. "This is it," Kaylin said, her voice vibrant with purpose. "Let's show them what Beacon's about." Emma smirked, her sarcasm sharp. "Time to code the competition into oblivion," she said, winking. James grinned, his confidence back. "And pitch like our lives depend on it," he said eagerly. Liam clapped their backs, his voice firm. "You've got heart and hustle," he said. "Go win." The convention center's lights blazed, reflecting Austin's innovative soul as the competition began. Kaylin felt her dad's memor-empty shelves, a dream lost fueling her. Olivia's shadow loomed, her sabotage thwarted, but her presence a final hurdle. The Beacon Project was poised to soar, and Kaylin was ready to lead it to victory. The Austin Convention Center at 500 E. Cesar Chavez St. shimmered under bright stage lights, its grand hall a crucible of ambition where startups battled for glory. The tech pitch competition was in full swing, a sea of investors, judges, and tech enthusiasts filling the seats, their murmurs a low hum against the stakes. Kaylin Voss, the 28-year-old visionary behind the Beacon Project, stood backstage, her hazel eyes fixed on the stage, her heart a drumbeat of hope and fear. The app connecting volunteers with small businesses, she had overcome setbacks, sabotage, and rivalries, fueled by her late father's bookstore, Voss Reads. Tonight, her pitch could secure nationwide funding, a dream's culmination or its final test. Kaylin, in a sharp blazer and jeans, clutched her note cards, her dark hair sleek in a low bun. Emma Torres, the 26-year-old coder, checked their demo laptop, her button-up a nod to the occasion, her dark eyes gleaming with quiet confidence after thwarting Olivia Grant's sabotage. James Carter, the 30-year-old marketing consultant, adjusted his tie, his button-down polished, his charisma masking nerves. Liam Hayes, their mentor, stood beside them, his plaid shirt and gray hair a steady anchor, his sharp eyes warm with pride. "You've earned this," Liam said, his voice gravelly but fervent, gripping Kaylin's arm. Kaylin nodded, her voice steady but emotional. "For my dad," she said softly, her resolve ironclad. The hall buzzed as Olivia Grant took the stage first, her blonde hair gleaming, her tailored suit exuding polish. Her app, a profit-driven networking platform, had mimicked Kaylin's features but lacked soul, its ex-posts still lukewarm. Olivia's pitch was slick, her voice smooth, touting efficiency and scale, but the judges' faces remained neutral, the crowd's applause tepid. Her words felt hollow, her app a shadow of the Beacon Project's heart. As she stepped off, her smile was tight, her confidence cracking under the weight of authenticity's absence. Kaylin stepped onto the stage, the spotlight warm, the crowd's eyes a sea of expectation. She took a deep breath, her voice clear and vibrant. "I'm Kaylin Voss, and the Beacon Project is about community," she began, her smile genuine. "My dad ran a bookstore, Voss Reads, in East Austin. When it failed, no one helped. I built this app to change that, to connect volunteers with small businesses, free, because people matter more than profit." The screen lit up with visuals, food, trucks, bookstores, volunteers, James's marketing genius shining. Kaylin shared stories. Javier's food truck thriving, a bookstore hosting events. "We have thousands of users," she said, her voice rising with passion, "because Austin believes in helping each other." Her words, raw and heartfelt, drew gasps, then applause. The judges leaning forward, captivated. The demo, powered by Emma's flawless code, ran seamlessly, matching a cafe with volunteers in real time. The crowd roared, ex-posts erupting with "Beacon Project." Kaylin's eyes glistened, her dad's memory vivid. She'd kept his legacy alive. As she stepped off, the judges deliberated, and Elena Ruiz, the investor Liam introduced, approached, her smile wide. "That was extraordinary," Elena said, her voice warm, shaking Kaylin's hand. The announcement came swiftly. The Beacon Project won, securing millions for nationwide expansion. The hall erupted, Kaylin's team rushing to hug her, their cheers a symphony of triumph. Olivia lingered in the crowd, her face pale, her app's failure stark against Kaylin's victory. As Kaylin exited the stage, Olivia approached, her voice low but tense. "You won," she said, her tone strained, her eyes flickering with vulnerability. "I was jealous. Your app, your team, it's real. I got it wrong." Kaylin paused, her anger softened by Olivia's candor, her voice calm but firm. "You chased the wrong thing, Olivia," she said, her eyes steady. "But you can still build something that matters." Olivia nodded, her smile faint but genuine, a subtle shift toward growth, her antagonism resolved without cliché redemption. She walked away, her ambition tempered, a new path possible. The team gathered at Zilker Park, 2501 Barton Springs Road, the same vibrant space where Kaylin's journey began at SXSW. The park glowed under a twilight sky, food trucks and music echoing their first meeting. Kaylin sat on a blanket, her team around her, their laughter mingling with the breeze. Emma, munching a taco, grinned, her sarcasm sharp. "We're basically tech royalty now," she said playfully, nudging Kaylin. James chuckled, his confidence restored. "Nationwide, baby," he said eagerly, raising a soda. Liam, sipping lemonade, spoke, his voice proud. "I'm starting a mentorship program for young entrepreneurs," he said, his eyes crinkling. "Inspired by you, Kaylin." Kaylin's heart swelled, her voice choked with gratitude. "You all made this," she said, her eyes misty. Kaylin stood, gazing at the park's bustling crowd, her dad's bookstore vivid in her mind. "We built a community," she said softly, her voice vibrant with reflection. "Not just an app, but a way to help each other." Emma leaned in, her tone sincere. "Your dad would be proud," she said, her eyes soft. James nodded, his voice warm. "We're just getting started," he said, his smile wide. The park's energy families, artists, dreamers mirrored Austin's spirit, a testament to their mission. Kaylin's growth, from doubt to leadership, shone through, her team's bond unbreakable. A food truck vendor, a cheerful man with a thick beard, approached, offering free empanadas. "Heard about your win," he said, his tone kind, his smile bright. "You're helping folks like me." Kaylin accepted the food, her voice grateful. "That's the goal," she said warmly, her heart full. The vendor's gesture, small but heartfelt, encapsulated the Beacon Project's impact. As the team ate, Kaylin spoke, her voice clear, addressing an imagined audience beyond the park. "What's your beacon for change?" she asked, her eyes bright. "Find it, chase it, share it." Her call, simple but powerful, echoed the story's heart, urging viewers to comment, like, and share their own dreams. The park's lights twinkled, reflecting Austin's diverse, creative soul as the celebration continued. Kaylin felt her dad's presence, his lost bookstore reborn in every volunteer, every business helped. Olivia's shadow was gone, her team's triumph a beacon of hope. The Beacon Project was no longer a dream, it was a movement, ready to light up the nation.